See you again. This is Ms.Katherine Liu Bruce, and thank you. Support Christians Ministry, Biblical Precept Preaching, Teaching Online, and Gospel Music Ministry. Today we will talk about the new topic, how to overcome satanic attack. We understand the evil intent to steal, destroy, kill, and create a sense of fear. In Jesus' era, he urged his disciple, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. In the book of John chapter 16 verse 33. In this era we face the same challenge of darkness, of the forces of evil. Our struggle is not against the flesh and the blood, but against the ruler, against the authority, against the power of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realm. Therefore, we eagerly pray for peace and comforting in this time, in this age. And we encourage the brothers and sisters rest on God's promises and His plans. As Jesus said, peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I don't give it to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, and do not be afraid. In book of John chapter 14 verse 27. And Jesus' prayer reminded us in the book of John chapter 17 verse 11, 20 to 22 what Jesus prayed for his disciple in his era. He said, my prayer is not that you to take them out of the world, but that you protect them from evil one. Holy Father, protect them by the power of your name, the name you give me, so that they may be one as we are one. My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one. Father, just as you are in me and that I am in you, may they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me, that they may be one as we are one. I in them and you in me, may they be brought to completely unity. Jesus' prayer for his disciple in his era urged them to be one as the Father in Jesus and Jesus in the Father. And he urged the disciple and prayed for them that they will go to complete unity in this generation, in this era, in present time. There are so many dividing evil forces, divide family, divided our community, divided our nation. We need to fight the battle of the oneness, unity of the church, of the nations. We do believe that angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. And that the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear him, on those who hope is in his unfailing love. We who follow Jesus Christ have an enemy, and his name is Satan. In the book of Mark chapter 1 verse 13 indicated. A created being, Satan is loose in the world but limited in what he can carry out against us. Satan's scheme and intends to draw us away from God through both direct or subtle means. Satan intends to thwart God's purpose in our lives by getting us out of our Father's will, or deny God his rightful glory and honor, which result from our choosing to live obedient life. But Jesus said, "Take a heart, I have overcome." Again, we emphasize the word of God. Jesus said, "Take a heart, I have overcome." Christians need to believe, great is he who is in you than he who is in the world. In the 1 John chapter 4, verse 4. It's a matter of you trust in him and set your mind rest in his word. Today, there continue to be many dividing walls between people. Human nature is no different in the modern age than it was in the first century. Power, pride, privilege still dominate in the kingdom of darkness. Unfortunately, many dividing walls also exist in the Christian community. Yet the gospel of Jesus Christ is just as powerful today in making the two into one new man, therefore establishing peace. In the Ephesians chapter 2 verse 15, it doesn't matter what the barriers are. We can overcome them by recognizing that we all have our access to the Father through the same Spirit. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 18 says. As the Apostle Paul spoke to the church, Ephesus, "Now, in Christ Jesus, you who formerly were far off have been brought near by the blood of Christ. For he himself is our peace, who made both groups into one, and broke down the barrier of the dividing wall." In the Ephesians chapter 2 verses 13 to 14. So, in this era, we need to pray, "Oh Lord, make us one and in unity. Set our mind in Christ." Jesus, in the Sermon on the Mountain, Jesus speaks of a peacemaker. In the Matthew chapter 5 verse 9, some people do have a way about them that bring peace wherever they go. All of us, however, can become peacemaker because, as 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verses 15 says, God has called us to peace, and if possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with all men. Romans chapter 12 verse 18 says. Jesus made it clear that unity within the church is the top priority. It doesn't really matter whether we have offended others or they have offended us. In either case, we should take the initiative to be reconciled with our brothers and sisters. Even if a brother or sisters will not listen, we can still pursue the things which make for peace and the building up of one another. in Romans chapter 14:19. In book of Romans chapter 14 verse 19 indicate that. How to overcome a satanic attack? Let us focus on this question now. Christians need to know there are 6 items of God's armor in Ephesians chapter 6 in order to stand firm in this dark age and live in a victorious Christian's life. Let's discover breastplate of righteousness in the Ephesians chapter 6 verse 14 and the gospel of peace verse 15, helmet of salvation verse 17, and the shield of faith verse 16. The breastplate of righteousness is to cover our conscience, signified by breast. Satan is the one who accuses us. In fighting against him, we need a conscience void of offense. Regardless of how clear we feel our conscience is, it needs to be covered with the breastplate of righteousness. To be righteous is to be right with both God and man. If we are just a little wrong with either God or man, Satan will accuse us and there will be holes in our conscience through which all our faith and boldness will leak out. Therefore, we need covering of righteousness to protect us from the enemy's accusation. Through righteousness, such a righteousness is Christ. Second, gospel of peace means that Christ made peace for us with both God and man on the cross. And this peace has become our gospel. This gospel of peace has been established as a firm foundation, as a readiness with which our feet may be sure. Being therefore sure, we will have a firm footing what we may stand to fight the spiritual warfare. The peace for such a firm foundation also is Christ. Third, the helmet of salvation is for covering our mind, our mentality against the negative thoughts shoot in by the evil man. Such a helmet, such a covering is God's salvation. Satan injects threats, worry, anxieties, and other weakening thoughts into our mind. God's salvation is the covering that we take up against all these. Such a salvation is the saving Christ